like top PW. We didn't really go over CD.
Yeah, so we're gonna basically go over a quick review of what we did last time. Once again, just a bit slower so everyone gets a kind of general theme of what Unix and Linux is. And then right now we currently have the website, so for those of you who forgot how to access our resources, go to our website, programming.wix.com/pbpg, go down to resources, general, and you hit that, you scroll all the way down, and here's the first HTML PowerPoint that we were looking at, and on Unix, Linux was up here. And as soon as Saxon sends me they'll show up like right below here, so we'll have 2 more HTML presentations.
I'll do that now. Email you them.
Anyways, we're going to be looking at Unix and Linux, so there we go. So today, basically, we have Spring 2015 Public Programming, Unix and Linux, and so what is Unix? Based on the last lesson, can anyone give me a quick explanation without looking at the slide? Like, just what do you remember from Unix?
It's just like moving files and directories and basically like sorting them.
Yeah, so it's the navigational kind of framework for your computer. So it's part of the, you can say, your operating system. And, you know, it's a multi-user operating system, meaning that you have different users like any other computer. That you can have Eric, you have some other names. You have Luke, Saxon, Daniel, Rose, different users on the same system. And that's what Unix and Linux allows for. Also, it's common in Macintosh computers, so almost all the Macs, if you pull up terminal, that's where you can see, oh, my computer's running on Unix, and that's where most of the Unix machines are found, which is in Macintosh computers. And it predates Linux. Unix has been older. It was the first developed one, and it was actually based off of it's basically a kernel. It's not the actual operating system hardware. It's the kernel that operates off of that. And Unix and Linux is basically that kind of thing. It's also the code behind your user interface. As you can see here, code is in italics right there because it's not really your typical type of computer programming language, more of the programmed functions behind your computer. So it's basically the operating system itself, but it operates as a kernel for the computer. And that might not make a lot of sense right now, but once you get used to Unix and Linux, you kind of see what level it operates on in terms of computers. So what is Linux? Does anyone have an idea what Linux is? Besides stuff up here.
Yeah, basically kind of the newer version of Unix that's kind of updated and is not as ubiquitous as Unix, but still pretty similar and so thereby just as useful and stuff.
Yeah, so basically the history of Unix and Linux is that Unix came first, and then Linux was developed by a lot of programmers who thought, I don't need to pay so much money for this operating system, so they kind of made almost a copy of it, and then made it open source. So almost all of the Linux machines, Linux distributions, operating systems out there are almost 100% free. You have operating systems like Ubuntu, which I use. You have you have Red Hat, CentOS, you have Mint. You have a bunch of other different types of operating systems that run on Linux. So there's a lot of different variations off of it, but it's basically based on the same syntax as Unix with very limited differences in the actual function of the language. And that comes in the fact that Linux has a GNU interface, GNU Bash, and that's something that we won't really cover, but just keep in mind that there's going to be some differences between Linux up there and Unix over there. So you're going to have to realize that they're not exactly the same, but for the most part, you can treat them the same when you're programming on the computer in that language. All right, once again, Unix, Linux levels. So, quick overview, you have object-oriented visual language. That's like your Visual Basic, Microsoft Visual Basic. You have your Java, Python, all that stuff up here. You have Fortran, C, Pascal. Those are a lot more programming, deeper, higher level programming languages. Then you have your high level languages, assembly language, which is your basically your compiler right here, and then your machine language is zeros and ones, all the way down to your hardware, your kernel, your operating system, all of that stuff. And Unix, Linux, depending on where it's used, is usually found around up here. And it's more of a unique programming language because it's not, I guess, programming in essence, but more of navigating your computer interface. Applications, very useful in supplementing other programming needs. So almost every programmer worth his or her salt needs to know this programming language because you use it to access your files, your directories, to open new files, to write stuff in other programming languages. So if you're gonna, if you are planning to be a programmer, this is definitely something you're gonna at least want to take a look at if you want to get into that kind of field. And the lesson plan, we're going to go over general stuff. We went over that last time, writing files, opening and saving files. We'll briefly touch on that if time permits. And then we'll move on to directories, which we haven't covered yet. And then moving, copying, and removing files and directories. And then we'll give you a quick activity, probably not today, but probably at the start of the next lesson to kind of review all of these stuff we learned in Unix and Linux. General commands. PWD gives you your current address, and it stands for position, something directory. I forget the acronym for it, but PWD gives you your current address in terms of directories. So if you're currently in a directory, for instance, let's see, if you have something like Alright, so if you just go Launchpad, if you have a Mac, open up Terminal, that's going to be your access to Unix. And if you run a PC, which I guess no one has a PC right now, we have a link on our website where you can go to a Unix simulator and run the same kind of commands we're doing right now. But right now, this is not me, this is Tony, who's my brother. I'm using my computer to record this lesson. So it should be EDSUN if it was my computer, but depending on whatever computer you guys have, it's going to have a different name up there. That's going to be a user. So if you do PWD, you see that we have a home directory right here, which is the first thing. You see a home directory. We're in the users directory inside of the home directory, and inside of that, we're on the user AHSUN. And then if you go who am I, it's going to tell you who you are. And look, I'm AHSUN. Is that some good? Who am I? Some other stuff that we looked at. This is top right there, which is TOP. That's another one. General command. And look at this, you can see how much CPU is being used. So we right now, the top command that we're using is using the most CPU on the computer. So what I just did right there is using up more than anything else on our computer right now. We got some other stuff, Office 365, Microsoft Office. Terminal's using it a bit, but it looks pretty normal because you usually want, right here, you want around 80 to 90 upper limits to be idle, meaning that not a lot of computing power is being used. If this is close to 0% and this are close to 90% respectively, then you're probably in a bit of a trouble. Your computer's probably frozen or something like that. So that's a bad sign. And the first thing, if you know any computer programming, and you see your computer is acting strangely, you're going to go to this top command, and you can see whenever it's running too much down here, it'll tell you, oh, this program is running, let's say, 90% or something. Then you're going to kill that program. You can just type in kill and type the program name. It's going to stop that program, and then your computer will no longer be frozen on most occasions. Yeah. Okay, so back to the PowerPoint.
Religion, ethics, and
So I guess we're not using my computer. Okay, so if you forgot how to download the file, I'm showing you guys right now. You can download it and just click on this. Pop up. applications, we went over this. Lesson plan, general commands. Okay, so those are the general commands. Any questions about general commands before we move on? Okay. Writing files, we went over this last time as well. You basically open a text editor, and writing files is not in Unix and Linux, but rather in a different language. So you're planning to write a file either in Microsoft Word or a text editor with programming languages like that, and you want to run it or write upon it with Unix and Linux via the terminal. That's basically the two ways you can do that. You can either open up the text editor with your user interface, it's called a GUI, G-U-I, graphic user interface, which is what you currently see, with the X and all the windows. You exit out, you can double click on stuff to open it. That's what most people are familiar with. You can do it that way, write the file, and then save it, and then access it with terminal, or you could type the text editor name in shell, and you might have to look at some of the writings on these actual text editors, because some of them respond differently to different commands. So you need to find out either with Google or whatever search engine you use which command you want to put out to open that text editor and then write in it with terminal. So those are two ways. The first one is actually probably easier, this one. The second one's a little bit more difficult for people who are really comfortable with terminal. So for now, if you want to do this first one, it's definitely fine for our purposes. Opening and saving files. So anyone have questions on writing files? Okay, so opening files, these are the two ones I went over from last time. Does anyone remember the difference between the V and cat?
Cat lets you, one of them lets you edit, the other doesn't.
Okay, so V is the one that lets you edit. If you use V, you view the whole file. So it opens the whole file thing up, right? And then you have the thing, and you're just reading the file. That's what you call it when you can't edit. But if you want to write to the file, which is editing, you just hit the I key right there. You hit this key right here, and it would edit the file at the current cursor point. So I'll show you this a bit later, but we'll go over this first. And if you want to quit viewing your file, you just do :Q, and you quit it. Same thing here. When you quit it, just like in any other text editor, it's going to ask you, do you want to save? And you just do Y for yes, N for no, enter, and you either save it or you don't. Then you have cat right here, which is different from V because one, you can't edit the file, you can only read the file. And two, it only puts out one line at a time. So instead of viewing the whole file, you only view the first line, then the second line, and then the third line, which is could be a disadvantage if you're planning to edit the whole file, or it could be an advantage if you have a massive file and you don't want to go through each and every line to find something that you need, or you just want to check out if that's the correct file to run. So these are two different ones, and they serve different purposes when you're programming with Unix, Linux. So I'm going to show you guys a quick example of how to do that. Terminal. Also, just go back to top command. If you just hit Q, it's going to let you out of it. So that's one way to quit out of top command. And if we were to cd into documents, let's cd into, let's see what's here. Okay, so we have a bunch of stuff here.
What do you do if there's a space in your document title?
That's where you have the backslash. So if you have a space, let's see, roll this over here. All right, it's kind of hard to see, but if you have, I'll just. If you have a space in your documents, you would have something like here. I'll show you something like let's see. It's called tab complete. If you do V, let's do the Vietnam history. See that backslash? Mm-hmm. That's how you designate that we're not having a separate item, but rather we're continuing on. It's just a space in the title. So most people use tab complete when you get used to that. Which just complete the whole thing for you, so you don't have to worry about the backslashes. But if you do have to type it all out yourself, remember to have that backslash right there. Okay, enter here. This is a PowerPoint by Word, so it's going to be pretty messed up. Here, as you can see, a bunch of random stuff. But that's kind of how V works. If you do I, you can insert something. You just hit I, and then you write your stuff, and then Q. So if you do I can insert something, blah, blah, blah. I'm writing into this document, and then I do colon, enter, and colon Q. Okay, control C, colon Q. So control C will let you exit out of anything you're currently at. So control C when you're done editing. Colon Q.
No right since last change.
No right since I want to override. No, we're not going to do that. So let's just quit. Do control. Or we. Alright, so we quit. Sometimes that prompts you to do some other stuff, like add exclamation mark to the end, which I just did, and you can see you can quit out of that. Another thing to do is if you have the cat, and you can do the same thing. And that's just the first line, which you can see is pretty long because it's a PowerPoint. Microsoft Word have formatting issues that don't show up right here. So if you want to really read a file, try to use a text editor that's simple, not something like PowerPoint or Microsoft Word, because it's going to get messed up in there. But, you just hit enter, and on the cat, you just hit enter, you can exit, as you can see right here. We're out of it. That's basically that. And I'll zoom in a bit. So that was all the stuff that we just did. Okay, any questions about reading files? Okay. 3 minutes. Okay, we're going to cover directories, and next time we're going to finish directories, review a bit more, and then go on to our activities. So directories. Here we have a make directory command, mkdir stands for make directory, and then you have a directory name. So you just call whatever you call it, history or science or anything like that, and you make a directory called directory name, or whatever name you have there, and so make that directory within your current address. So if I'm in, the documents directory, and I make a new directory called science, it's going to basically create a folder within that folder called science. So it makes it right at your current place, and you just easy and simple, and you have a directory with that name on it. Change directory, cd, change directory, with the directory address, which is all the backslashes, so you have slash users, slash edsun, slash documents, slash directory, whatever it is, science, slash. And then you could basically change out of the directory that way. So you could basically swap from whatever current directory you are into that user's directory. And if you're on a home directory. And basically you just have to think about it like, which directory am I currently in? And how do I get from this directory to the directory I want to go to? And you either use double dots to back out of it. So double dots would mean go to the directory that's greater than you, that's outside of you. And you do that sometimes, then you delve back into other directories to get to your desired place. You do cd ... just to go back one level. So if I was in my science directory and I want to go back to documents, I just type in cd, change directory, ... and that's going to bring me back out into documents. And cd dot specifies a current directory. So if you want to go into, let's say you're currently on documents and you want to go into science, you can either do cd science, or if you want to go to, I guess a more formal way would be /science, which would be current directory slash a directory within your current directory. LS is to list all the files in current directory. I'm not sure what it stands for. I just read it as list stuff. But basically, whatever directory you're in, if you type in ls, it's going to show you all the files and all the other directories you have in there. It's going to list them out for you. That way, when you're trying to tab complete or something, you know, oh, I have this, I want to go in this directory. And you just type out a bit of it, hit tab, it's going to complete it for you. And that's what ls is useful for. It's great for you looking at what you currently have in your directory. And we're going to do a quick example, and then we'll finish up today's lesson. Okay, so
What was the command to list all the files in a directory?
ls. Okay, so right now I do pwd check which directory I'm currently in. I'm within the home directory, users, then ahsun, then the documents directory. Okay. Now let's ls, see whatever we have in our documents directory. So we have quite a few stuff right here. We have other, we have a debate fleet. Let's go inside the debate directory. Do cd de, hit tab, it's going to complete it for you. And that's where I change directory. So we change it into this directory. Enter. And pwd, before we were up here, as you can see, we were in users, ahsun, documents. Now we're in users, ahsun, documents, and debate. So we just change directories into it. If you do cd dot dot, that's going to bring us out of the directory, right? cd dot dot, pwd. We were before in this debate. Now we are no longer in there, but we're just in documents. Okay? So that's a good way how you can navigate in and out of folders and directories. Another way to do it, we're going to go over this command, mkdir, make directory. Let's call it directory. Okay. ls, and let's see. Did you guys see it? Oh, right there. Okay, so I didn't see that the first time, but see, we made that new directory. If you want to delete it, and we'll cover this in next lesson, but if you choose rm.rf, that's removing a thing, and you're doing it recursively, and with these the f parameter, which means you're deleting everything inside. That's the only way to delete a directory. ls, as you can see, no longer there. So, quick overview. We'll review this again, start next lesson, and then we're going to go on to a more bigger activity to kind of tie together all of our lessons on Unix and